something. It's not my domain. My domain is sports, and I'm here for sports. My name is Mutala Yakubu. Let's now settle for the details. Now, following the conclusion of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, 3 Sports takes a look back at how the action unfolded in the expanded 48-team tournament. Spain emerged victorious on Sunday night with a slender win over Argentina. The following report has some more.
2026 World Cup delivered a spectacular month of football, blending tactical brilliance, dramatic upsets, and unforgettable moments across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. The expanded 48-team tournament showcased emerging nations alongside traditional giants, producing one of the most competitive editions in history. Morocco stunned the Netherlands in the last 32 before eliminating Canada in the round of 16. Norway shocked Brazil in the last 16, while Paraguay edged Germany on penalties. Egypt prevailed over Australia in a dramatic shootout in record-breaking fashion. As the knockout stage intensified, France displayed ruthless efficiency by defeating Paraguay and Morocco, while Spain overcame Portugal and Belgium with technical superiority. England, on the other hand, eliminated Mexico and Norway through resilience and determination, whereas Argentina's attacking flair carried them past Egypt and Switzerland to reach another World Cup final. The semi-finals produced football of the highest quality as Spain defeated France with disciplined precision, while Argentina narrowly overcame England in a fiercely contested encounter. England responded by defeating France 6-4 in an extraordinary third-place playoff to claim bronze medal and finish the World Cup with their best performance since 1966. The final crowned Spain as world champions after a 10-1-0 victory over Argentina. Spain combined defensive organization, intelligent possession, and clinical finish to reclaim football's biggest prize. The 2026 World Cup will be remembered for its unpredictability, exceptional quality, and enduring celebration of the beautiful game.
My colleague Andrew Sefa-Banfo with that report. So on the just ended World Cup, Morocco once flew again at the flag of Africa at the tournament, becoming the only African nation to reach the quarterfinals and making history as the first team from the continent to secure back-to-back World Cup quarterfinal appearances. Former Black Stars assistant coach Maxwell Kunedu believes Morocco's sustained success is no coincidence, insisting it is a product of years of investment.
Now, for the past few years, I think Morocco is one of the countries that have really improved in football.
Yeah.
You know, they did a lot of work behind the scenes. You know, the infrastructure they built over the past years has really paid off. And this is where it has gotten them to. Yeah, I wasn't surprised because when you go to Morocco and see what they've done there, and how they invest in football. You know, I'm not surprised they are here today. Come to talk about this tournament. They've proven again and again that they are always a side to beat.
It's a Maxwell Kunedu. The meanwhile, former Real Oviedo midfielder who is now a midfielder who has now opened up about his next move, that is Kwesi Zibo, after his contract ended with Real Oviedo. He says that clubs in the Saudi Pro League and the English Premier League are after his signature.
Club-wise, as I said, I wanted to play in the big leagues like Spain and the Spanish La Liga, the English Premiership. And through my journey, through the hard work, through the dedication, through the sacrifice, I was able to taste the Spanish La Liga a season. And unfortunately, we wasn't lucky. We got back on the same season. And I have offers from the Premiership. I have offers from the Saudi Premier League. So I'm looking forward to those offers within this week. And yeah, I will know because I feel like I'm still young. I'm 28. I'm not old. So I still have the strength to be in the Europe, to compete. If my agent is able to find a team that will be compete in the Champions League, compete in the European Cup, I'm always at service, and I'm ready to face that challenge to play in the Champions League.
Kwasi Sibo, the Black Stars midfielder, talking about his next move. Moving on, the Accra Shooting Stars FCU team has returned to Ghana as heroes welcome after making history at the 2026 Gothia Cup in Sweden. Led by head coach Yao Preko, their triumphant side touched down at the Kotoka International Airport on Sunday, July 20th, the fresh from being crowned champions of the Gothia Cup B18 tournament. Shooting Stars secured the prestigious title with a hard-fought 2-1 victory over Ireland's New Bridgetown FC. And Yao Preko has been speaking to 3 Sports.
First of all, exposure. We went in to give them exposure, not intentionally going there to win the cup, but to give them exposure and then take that opportunity to see how it goes, because most of them it was their first time of even traveling out of the country, and so we had 10 days in Dortmund, and then they got used to the weather and the field and everything. Then we went to Sweden, and then we started the tournament. We take it game after game. So in all, it's about, like I said, giving them exposure and then marketing yourself. And thank God they were able to execute what we worked here and what we were expecting from them.
That is Yao Preko. Let's head to Europe now, where football has lost one of its true legends. Former England player and manager Kevin Keegan has died at the age of 75 after battling stage 4 cancer. A 2-time Ballon d'Or winner in 1978 and 1979, Keegan was widely regarded as one of the finest players of his generation. He made nearly 750 club appearances, won 3 Premier League titles with Liverpool, and enjoyed remarkable success with Hamburg in Germany. Keegan also proudly represented and later managed England, leaving behind a legacy that will inspire the next generation. Now, before we go, let's have our WAFCON Daily, because the Women's Africa Cup of Nations will be starting on the 26th of July.
Welcome to WAFCON Daily, your go-to source for the latest news, updates, analysis, and highlights from the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations. This July, host Morocco will welcome 15 other African nations to compete for the continental glory. The tournament will feature 34 matches across 6 venues: the Moulay El Hassan Stadium, Al Medina Stadium, Larbi Zauli Stadium, Rabat Olympic Stadium, Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium, and the Moulay Rashid Stadium, located in the cities of Rabat and Casablanca. Rabat Olympic Stadium, which successfully staged both the opening and final matches of the previous WAFCON, is once again expected to provide a vibrant atmosphere for some of the tournament's biggest fixtures. In a recent update, the Confederation of African Football confirmed a change of venue for Group D. While the Black Queens and their group opponents were initially scheduled to play in Fez, all Group D matches will now be held in the Moulay Rashid Stadium in Casablanca. Ghana's Black Queens will begin their quest for WAFCON glory on 29 July 2026 when they take on Cape Verde in their opening Group D fixture. Thanks for watching, and be sure to join us next for another edition of WAFCON Daily.
WAFCON Daily with my colleague Akoseje, and that's all by way of sports here on 3FM. The show would actually continue, but this is from Patrice Megashi. He says hello to Vanessa Mensah of Smoothie Restaurant. And if you want more from us, go to all our socials at 3 Sports GH, and you get the latest sports updates. This morning at 10 a.m., we will be playing an exclusive interview on TV3 with Kwesi Sibo.
The Electoral Commission has reiterated its commitment to organizing free and fair elections this December. How
How's your week treating you? I'm here to serve you great music tidbits for your at-work listening pleasure. Rastafari, Rastafari, Rastafari. Our Father, who art in Zion, Kanamawe, Kanamawe, Kanamawe. Oh, turn it up!
Come into the mountains, sight I and I grandfather.
It's time to drive you home in style with great music, the 411 and all your favorite songs, what's happening around town, and so much more.
And in the headlines today, the two leading political parties have been addressing the public on allegations of corruption. The Black Stars coach has unveiled his squad for the upcoming games, and there are some interesting names. Pull up! The weekend is here and it's time to turn up. Get your dancing shoes on, Lego. We really do have it all. It's a premium mix of information and entertainment every single day on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio.
And here's where I have a fight with Frederick Kunzo Tiani. Because on one of the holidays, he must bring somebody who will come and talk about Ghanaian music. Ghanaian music. Right? Strings, drums, melody, symphony, everything put together. We have some of the finest songs produced from out of this part of the world. And look, some of the great songs there, they've been sampled for some of the hip-hop greats. Like Alaji K. Frimpon's Chen Chen Biedimewu, for instance. All for real. Codjoe, what's his name again? Oforian Ponsa. And a host of others. That's just by the way. 28 past 8 here on the 3FM Sunrise. Today, the 21st of July. We're going to get into our ledger of facts for you, even as we proceed on the tangent of wound to me. K has been writing Ube to me and a wound to me. We're gonna get into that. Then our special guest, we have a special interview today with the Vice Chair of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament. Who'll join us in studio as well for an hour of conversations. But before any of that, Phil wants to be mischievous with one additional song before K has joined me in studio, but I'm just going to let Phil do 1 minute of that mischief. Opening 1 minute, all right? And then we get into the ledger of fact and a bit of appreciation as to where we are in terms of what do you want to call it, political persecutions or political prosecutions or accountability. Wherever you stand, the argument can be made that the Ghanaian people are better off for it if the tangent is as it is always. Swang, in relation to holding persons accountable among the two leading political parties since 1992, the Fourth Republican dispensation. K, you have it. Walk us through it.
Yes. Since the ruling came yesterday, there's been a lot of conversations and comparisons, and one of the things we saw was a picture of Chairman Untumi, that's Bernard Ntwibwe, and several pictures of many others, with a comparison being people or persons, politically exposed persons who have been convicted during the NDC regime, previously and now, and same during the MPP regime previously. So if we go deep into it, we would realize that under the MPP, public officials and political figures convicted currently stands at 1 conviction, which is Bernard Ntwibwe, Chairman Untumi, and exonerated and acquitted, none has been identified. If we look at the NDC end of the same, we have convicted persons in the person of Kwame Pepra, who was convicted in the quality grain case, Abuga Pele, who was convicted in the Jida case, though his conviction was later overturned on appeal. And then we have Dr. George Sipayanki, Sedinam Tamaklo Etienu, Eugene Bafuboni, Matthew William Tete, Tevi, Alhaji Salifu, Mimina Osman, Ibrahim Adam, Daniel Duku, Frank Abuaji Mensah, and Irene Anti Mensah. So those are 12 convicted persons under the NDC. And then convictions overturned and acquitted, discharged as well. We have Chachu Chikata, who was convicted in 2028, conviction overturned by the Court of Appeal in 2016, acquitted and discharged. Then we also have Dan Abodakbi, convicted in the quality grain case. Later, the conviction was overturned on appeal. And then we also have Nana Owusu Ensau, acquitted and discharged in the NCA case before judgment against the remaining accused. So currently, we have Untumi's conviction, which remains a subject to appeal. And then Sedinam Tamaklo Etienu, who was convicted in absentia and later extradited to serve her sentence. And then we also have the Daniel Duku, Frank Abuaji Mensah, and Irene Anti Mensah, who were convicted after entering guilty pleas under the statutory restitution procedure. So this ledger basically is to distinguish between the final convictions, convictions later overturned, and acquittals and discharges. It does not treat all cases as though they ended the same way. Now we go to the part 1 of the ledger of facts itself, just so we can have a proper understanding of the Untumi case, from presidential exoneration to judicial conviction, the Akonta mining chronology. So on the 5th November 2010, Akonta Mining was incorporated for mining and mineral exploration. Then in 2011, Akonta progresses through statutory licensing, reconnaissance license in 2011, prospecting license in 2012, and then mining leases granted on 23rd July 2021 for Samra Boy and Abokwase. Then in 2021 to 2022, co-director Kwame Ntwi travels outside Ghana and is no longer actively involved. So no functioning board or corporate governance. Untumi becomes the sole controlling mind and hand of Akonta Mining. Then on the 25th of August 2022, Akonta Mining applies for a mining lease inside the Tano Nimri Forest Reserve. The application was not approved. So if we come to 30th September 2022, the Lands Minister Samuel Abujinapo orders Akonta Mining's operations inside Tano Nimri to be stopped. Then the valid lease in parts of Samaraboy, no mineral right in Tano Nimri. Application was not yet determined, and any activity there was illegal. Government's position was clear and explicit. Then on the 4th October 2022, the Minerals Commission confirms publicly that Akonta had no lease, permit, or mineral right to mine inside Tano Nimri. Its 2021 leases were outside all forest reserves. So in October 2022, civil society organizations, including Occupy Ghana and the likes, intensify pressure. They demand criminal investigation and prosecution instead of administrative action. And on the 4th January 2023, President Nana Akufo-Addo makes the now very popular statement: Akonta mining is not engaged in any illegal mining anywhere in Ghana as we speak. So the key factor is presidential assurance, which has now been interpreted to be moot because it does not establish judicial acquittal. Then we go to the part 2, the Samaraboy concession. We look at events from 2024 to April 2025. So in September 2024, Henry Okum, a licensed small-scale miner, checks with Minerals Commission and discovers the Samaraboy concession belongs to Akonta Mining. He contacts Chairman Wuntumi. Then, between September and October 2024, Wuntumi and Okum reach a verbal oral agreement, no written agreement, oral. Okum's account is that he's allowed to mine unworked parts, reclaim degraded areas, fund reclamation from mining proceeds. Wuntumi's account also says only land reclamation, plant coconut seedlings, and no mining authorized. Now, in 2024, no application is made for minister's prior written approval as required by Section 14(1) of the Minerals and Mining Act 703. Then, in the same 2024, Okum and his workers move into the Samaraboy concession. Mining and reclamation activities begin. The core dispute was this mining or merely reclamation? And then in the same 2024, Akonta Mining, there's a court later finds Wuntumi did more than give access. He permitted the operation, introduced Okum to an excavator supplier, used Akonta letterhead, and listed RegSec protection. And on the 16th of April, police launched a major anti-galamsey operation in the western region. On the 17th April, police raid the Akonta mining concession, arrest Michael Jedu AEC and 28 others. Items that were recovered were 29 excavators, 25 serviceable, 4 unserviceable excavators, 8 pump-action guns, 1 single-barreled gun, 310 cartridges, suspected gold, 4 motorcycles, 2 vehicles, water pumping machines, machetes, and 157,000 Ghana cedis in cash. This shows that this was a large-scale mining operation uncovered. And then in April 2025, Michael Jedu AEC tells police that Henry Okum is his employer and in charge of the mining activities. Henry Okum tells police that Wuntumi allowed him onto the concession to mine gold and that he believed the concession belonged to Wuntumi personally. This part of the chronology concerns events in 2024, April, and 2024 to April 2025 at the Samaraboy concession, separate from the 2022 Tano Nimri Forest Reserve.
And that's an important distinction that ought to be made, right?
Yes.
That there are the two cases are completely different and have no bearings at all with each other.
Yes. So we go to the part 3. That's the investigation, charges, and the criminal trial. And in April 2025, investigators traced permission to Wuntumi through statements from AEC and Okum No ministerial approval was granted. So no ministerial approval is found for any third party to exercise mining rights. And then in the same year as well,
the Republic, he was arraigned before the...
Yes. So if we move on to the next one, we see here that the Republic arraigns... No, not the part 4, the part 3. We are still on the part 3. Please, easy with the scrolling. So we see on 7th of October, the Republic arraigned Bernard Ntwibosiakon to me and Kwame Entry at large and Akonta Mining Company Limited. 6 charges filed. Count 1 to 3, unlawful dealing with mining mineral rights, and count 4 to 6, purposely facilitating unlicensed mining. Now, in October, between October and November 2025, prosecution witnesses were 4 in total. That's Michael Jedwe Isi, Henry Okum, Chief Inspector Safo Isiedu, who was with the operations, and then Joseph Iroko from Minerals Commission. Then in November 2025 to January 2026, defense witnesses, 5 in total. That's Bernard Ntwibosiakon, Wuntumi himself, Wisdom Edem Gomashi, who is a mining engineer, and George Miriku Duka, former Deputy Lands Minister, Kwabena Ochreda Akumensa, former Western Regional Minister.
And then one Evans Adey.
One Evans Adey. Then we go on to April. That's January to April. We see the court scrutinizes the reclamation explanation. Reclamation costs money. Wuntumi gave Okum no funds. We're still on 3. Yes, he gave Okum no funds. Okum is a miner, not a reclamation contractor. No competence check, no supervision. And then Wuntumi never visited the site. The key factor is court finds the reclamation only story lacks commercial sense and is an afterthought.
That was a very important aspect as well, if you read
and then from the April to May 2026, in final submissions, the defense raises a constitutional objection. They argue sections 14.1 and 99.2b of the Minerals and Mining Act 703 are vague and violate Article 1911 of the Constitution. Constitutional challenge seeks to halt proceedings and refer questions to the Supreme Court. However, in May 2026, High Court rejects the constitutional objection. Offenses and penalties are clearly expressed in law. Trial court need not down its tools, and any complaint can be pursued on appeal. So the case proceeds, no referral to the Supreme Court. Then between May and June 2026, court gives key legal findings before judgment. Dealing with mineral rights is interpreted broadly. Allowing another person to exercise exclusive rights without approval is unlawful. Akonta Mining's corporate veil is pierced, and Wuntumi is the true controlling mind and hand of the company. Law and facts align against Wuntumi and Akonta Mining. The critical legal turning point in Part 3 is the reclamation defense collapses under cross-examination. Constitutional objection is rejected, and the broad interpretation of mineral rights established, the corporate veil pierced, and personal liability established. Then we look at the Part 4, which has been a matter of controversy since yesterday, the judgment, sentencing, and the aftermath. On 20th July, which was yesterday, the High Court judgment was given. Justice Audrey Kokuvi Te of the Accra High Court, Criminal Court 4, delivers judgment. The court convicts Bernard Entry Boisiakon, aka Wuntumi, on count 1 and count 4, Akonta Mining Company Limited on count 3 and count 6. The court finds that Wuntumi permitted mining, not just reclamation. He purposely facilitated the unlicensed mining operation. Akonta dealt with its mineral rights without the minister's prior written approval. The key fact here is 2 offenses proved against Wuntumi.
Right.
2 corporate offenses proved against Akonta Mining itself. And then on the same yesterday, Wuntumi sentenced for count 1, dealing with mineral rights without approval, 20 years imprisonment with hard labor, and a fine of 10,000 penalty units. In default of payment, 3 additional years imprisonment. And then for count 4, purposely facilitating unlicensed mining, another 20 years imprisonment with hard labor.
Right.
The fine, 10,000 penalty units. In default of payment, 3 additional years imprisonment. The court orders the 2 prison terms to run concurrently. So if not for the court ordering the 2 to run concurrently, that would have meant
mostly
40
they run concurrently.
So
I want us to round up because our guest is in studio with us already this morning.
Yes.
So at least from there, 3 things I can deduce. 3 persons or 3 accused persons, Wuntumi, Kwame Entry, and then the company.
Yes.
Kwame Entry has been at large for some time, and so the corporate view was pierced, as we saw from the 3rd fact sheet, amongst many other things, which put liability on the laps of Wuntumi as well, and is the basis upon which he is to serve that 20-year jail term and then pay the penalty, which is amounting to in excess of 300,000 cedis, amongst other things. I want us to go to the concluding part because a number of these details as well we've reiterated throughout today as we've been having the conversation. So let's go to the concluding part.
Yes, so the concluding part, the company is fined on both corporate counts. That's the Akonta Mining itself. That's 15,000 penalty units for count 3 and count 6 as well. So the total fines are 30,000 penalty units. We look at the historical contrast, the 2 controversies. That's 2 very different outcomes. If we look at September 2022, government says any operation in tunnel is illegal. January 2023, President Akufo-Addo assures that Akonta Mining was not engaged in illegal mining. In 2024, separate oral arrangements made concerning Samra Boy concession. In 2025 April, police uncover the large mining operations, and in July 2026, High Court convicts Akonta Mining and its controlling director, Charles Entry Boisiakon.
Right. Kay, appreciates these facts as they've come forward, and I'm sure even tomorrow and going forward, there'll still be conversations in relation to this greatly as to what becomes of him. At least we know from this morning that he's in Sawam, has begun serving his term. Palgrave tells us he's visiting him, he's making arrangements to visit him as well, and so we'll get a bit more from that. That's Codjoe with me in studio this morning as well. I'm going to switch lanes right now and get into our big conversation for this morning as well. And our special guest in studio is the Member of Parliament for Tema West in the Greater Accra region on the ticket of the NDC. Now, he is currently the Vice Chairperson of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee in Parliament. He's a member of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. I must say that the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee is one of my favorite committees in Parliament. I have to be very, very honest, because of the work that you do. And the name in itself, it's a lengthy name. So the Vice Chair is here with me in studio. Now, he made history in 2024, becoming the first ever NDC Member of Parliament for Tema West after nearly 3 decades of NPP domination. He's a lawyer by profession. He ran on promises as well to fix neglected road infrastructure, particularly at Codjoe, and reduce youth unemployment in an area ranked by major companies and bring accountability amongst many others to the good people of Tema West. If I were emceeing an event, I would say, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for legal counsel James Enu. But I'm in the studio this morning, and so I'll say good morning to you, Honorable, and thank you very much for joining us in studio this morning.
Let me say good morning to you, and thank you also for having me. And let me say a very good morning to all your listeners and the good people of Tema West who have done me the honor to represent them as their member of parliament.
How is Tema West? I mean, after what was a remarkable feat in the 2024 elections, the NDC almost sweeping the Greater Accra region. I think it was just 3 constituencies the NPP has in the Greater Accra region, and you were part of the green wave, which was witnessed there. What did the magic? How did you work things after a near 3-decade domination by the NPP?
Thank you very much once again. And like you rightly said, Tema West has always been blue since the inception of the 1992 Constitution. And there were some key, even NDC candidates who contested in the Tema West constituency. One of the remarkable people you can make reference to is Honorable Fosuan Pofu. He contested, I think, in 2012, and then Dr. Tufo. I came 2016, Dr. Tufo came 2020, came back in 2024.
And on your return, you worked the magic.
Exactly. And I think that is out of hard work, dedication, commitment, and the unity that we built together going into the elections, together with my constituency chairman and the constituency executives and all the grassroots of the party. We worked together as a team, and that is what made the magic. Tema West, is largely metropolitan, and it has a very youthful population. Indeed, the youth constitute about 70% of the total population in Tema West. It has a voter population, and this is not the total population, just the voter population of close to about 150,000 people per the records going into the last election. And it's a constituency that is growing at a very fast rate, and indeed the population growth is outpacing infrastructure development in Tema West. But a lot is also being done to ensure that in the critical areas that have challenges in terms of infrastructure and all that, we are trying to push very hard to fix some of these challenges.
It's important that you mention infrastructure, and I'll come to you on that in terms of the constituency as well. But just by way of a bit more in terms of details, the Honorable James Enu is my guest in studio. He's a member of Parliament for Tema West. He's the Vice Chair of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament as well. Send messages, questions, particularly the good people of Tema who will be doing the listening this morning as well. You can send a message to us here on WhatsApp on 053 220 0927 053 220 0927. Alternatively as well, we're streaming on Facebook, our handle 3fm927. You can send a message on that stream. We're also live on Kesme 107.1 FM. So roughly 18 months right in, where do you stand on the road and all of that? Because that was one of the major things which you promised to do for the people, which brought you in as well.
Thank you very much. And let me take you a step back. Like rightly said, this is a constituency that we have never won before. And for the first time, we won this seat. We won with a margin of almost 22,000 difference, and that is quite huge. Indeed, I pulled about 49,000 in SS. The MPP candidate pulled around 20 something. Yeah, so if you look at the difference, it was about 22,000, close to 22,000 votes. And the expectations are quite high. One, because it's the first time. Two, because of the large difference that the people showed in support of my bid as the MP. So it's quite a high demand on me as far as the constituency is concerned. Now let's come to the roads. Tema West has a lot of road infrastructure deficit, especially from areas like Codjoe. Codjoe, Klagon, Lashibi are areas that have not seen much development. The story has always been told that because it's an MPP-dominated constituency and those areas are NDC-dominated, usually when MPP is in power, they don't pay attention to these areas because they feel that these are NDC strongholds, and therefore much development doesn't go there. So Codjoe, Klagon, Lashibi are areas that have huge road infrastructure deficit. Yeah, and since we assumed power, a lot of work has been done. First of all, if you come to the estate junction, Sakumono Estate Junction, we've asphalted the road from the junction up to the Committee 18 KFC on the Sprinters
I know the
Road.
place very well. Sakumono
So
18.
that has been done. As I speak to you now, that stretch from heading towards Lashibi on the other side is also being worked on. There is a road called the Gas Filling Station Road behind the Snake Flats at Sakumono that has also been fixed. The Gasem Flats in Sakumono, all their inner roads have been fixed. If you go to a place like Bachona, around the Tespo Market Enclave, yes, a lot of asphalt too has been done in those areas. A lot of work is still ongoing. As I speak to you now, through severe lobbying and all that, some new roads have been taken over by contractors. For instance, you can talk about the PV Obin roundabout. PV Obin roundabout is a roundabout that connects Committee 2, Committee 3, and Committee 5. So there is a stretch from the roundabout to Chrismon Hotel. That is a very bad road, and it's a flood-prone area. So anytime it rains, all that place gets flooded. As I speak to you now, contractor is on site. They are doing their drains, and then they will do their roads. So work is ongoing on PV Obey roundabout stretch Committee 5 to Chrismon Hotel. And if you go there today, you see the contractors on site. And this is something that we pushed and lobbied for. And let me say, I'm very grateful to the road minister who has a listening ear. Apart from this, Codjoe, like I said, is one major area that has deficits in terms of road. There is also a contractor working from there. The contractor is actually coming from Santor, and he'll come down to the underbridge through the Codjoe main road into the underbridge. The underbridge is a problem area. The underbridge that connects Klagon and Codjoe is a problem area. When it rains, the whole place is very much flooded. There is vehicular traffic. Vehicles cannot go in or come out. And that bridge is also a single lane, so you can appreciate the place is flooded. There is a single lane. One lane have to go, the other must stop after that before another lane comes in. So there's always vehicular traffic, and when it rains, it is terrible because of the flooding nature of the area. And I'm happy to say that the Santor Road, like I said, contractor is on site working. He'll come straight into the underbridge. The underbridge indeed will be collapsed as part of the motorway expansion project. There's going to be a flyover instead of the underbridge to make sure that that problem at the underbridge, which connects Codjoe and Klagon, will be resolved. I also know that Codjoe inner roads have a lot of challenges. Recently, that the rains came, some areas were cut off and all that. We have made some interventions. As I speak to you now, there are laterite gravels that we are trying to fill as an interim measure those areas that have challenge when it rains. And we believe that in the interim, it will make the roads more trouble for the people to be a bit happy. But we are also lobbying seriously to get some of the internal roads fixed. One major challenge has also to do with this bridge on the Lashibi stretch. It's a huge bridge. As I speak to you now, the contractor vacated site because the indication was that he raised some certificates which were not paid. So I personally followed up. Indeed, over the weekend, I met with the Minister for Roads, and we had a conversation, and he has assured me that some payments have been even made, and very soon the contractor will come back to site and fix that bridge, which is at the Lashibi stretch joining to Klagon. And indeed, that area too is a flood-prone area, so the recent rains also cut the road
number
off.
of people
Yes.
and the roads.
Yes,
as
but
well.
I'm also happy to say that with the support of the MCA and myself, we fixed that portion of the road to the extent that now, if it rains, that section of the road will not be cut off. I'm also happy to say that Lashibi has also huge infrastructure deficit in terms of road. But as I speak to you now, through serious lobbying with the assemblyman, myself, and even the MCA, we have gotten the contractors to move on site. There is a very strategic road, which is called Omanyaba Road at Lashibi. It's a huge road that spans from the Shalom Sport area that joins the Spintex Road. So the contractor has moved on site and he has started working. It's a strategic road that will open Lashibi up, and I'm very happy that that contract has been awarded. As I speak to you now, to around the Shalom Sport area, there's a runabout, which runabout also connects through the abattoir to the motorway. That road too has been awarded for contract. Contractor will be moving to site very soon, and that road will also be fixed. There are a lot of other roads that we are pushing to ensure that we are able to get more support in terms of roads. And I want to take the opportunity also to thank the road minister who has a listening here and who has a soft spot for Tema West. And indeed, we also want to use the opportunity to ask for more. Oliver Twist ask for more, you know. But of course, a lot of other constituencies also need road infrastructure. So it's quite a challenge, but I think that the minister is doing quite well. Apart from issues of roads, one major problem that we also face has to do with employment issues. You know,
I was going to come to that because it does suggest there is quite a number of developments in terms of roads, right, within your constituency. There's a message that's come through from Kwesi Poku from Community 16. He says that I should tell the Honorable that the roads in Community 16 are bad. No single road has been touched. And so there's a two-part message. And so are those as well coming to your attention? I want us to focus on the constituency first because of the historic nature with which the elections was won and what is being done based on the promises with which you won. Then I'll move on to more nationalistic conversations. But on Community 16, on that front, before we come to jobs, because the second part is the jobs he mentioned, and mentioned that you are the board chair of the Gaming Commission, and so what are you doing in relation to that to get them jobs? But on roads, and by the way, you can send us a bit more in terms of messages. 053-220-0927, 053-220-0927. But speak to us on Community 16. And
Community 16, I think that I did indicate Community 16 is within Lashibi.
Right.
And I did indicate that Lashibi has serious deficits in terms of roads. And I think that it's a very important point that he has made. But I'm also happy to say that the road that has been awarded, road contract that has been awarded, which I indicated to be Omanyaba Road. Omanyaba Road also spans across Community 16. So at least Community 16 will have a benefit of that road because it cuts across Community 16 to 17 and all that. Yeah. So definitely 16 will benefit from the Omanyaba Road. And like I said, the contractor, as I speak to you, is on site. We did a community engagement, had a meeting with the people, introduced the contractor to the people.
To the people as well.
He's coming to start work.
Right. On the subject of jobs, right? Kwesi, you were going there, but I just paused you on the question about Community 16. But Kwesi also comes in on the subject matter of jobs. Tema is a place where all of the industries are. The people are asking, how are you connecting us to the jobs? Because it was one of the many things you mentioned. And then I'll come to you on the flooding situation there and how it is now.
Okay. Thank you very much. So the issue of jobs is a major concern. You know, Tema is the #1 industrial city that was built by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our first president. And because it's an industrial city, it has attracted a lot of youthful population. And a lot of people who are looking for jobs will definitely move towards Tema because they believe that it's an area that you can easily get jobs. So the issue of job is a major concern, so long as a lot of the population are in the youth. But what I have tried to do is that it's not easy, but what I've tried to do is that we have set up a job center. In this job center, we are doing a number of things. The job center, one, will look for job opportunities and also try and connect people to these job opportunities. So as I speak to you now, we have a platform that we have collated a lot of people who are looking for jobs. So everybody who wants a job, they come to us. If they have a CV, they provide their CV. If they are artisans, electrician, welder, whatever, they provide the necessary information to us. We have built a database. And therefore, I have a team that goes around, not only for in respect of public institutions, but private companies that are even located in Tema West. They go around, look for job opportunities, and we are able to do placement for the people. Now, what we also do is that even those that have to go through interviews and all that, we prepare them and guide them to make sure that they go through the interview.
Where this job center does all of this?
Yes, the job center does all of it. So the job center is located at Committee 3 PV Obin Roundabout. Anybody who is looking for a job, you can come with your CV, whatever information you have. And because sometimes the challenge we face is that sometimes there are opportunities that come, and then we don't have the people who are qualified for the opportunities.
Opportunities from where? From within the enclave and the industries?
Within the enclave, especially opportunities for technical people, engineers and those kind of areas. Opportunities come, and sometimes we struggle to get people to fit into those opportunities. But the truth of the matter is that the demands that are coming in respect of jobs is quite huge.
Right.
But of course, we don't have enough opportunities to satisfy everybody. But I can assure you that we are doing our best. Since we assumed office, the job center has offered a lot of job opportunities. You did mention gaming commission, which I happen to be the board chair. And as I speak to you now, there are a number of people from my constituency that have pushed, that are working at gaming commission. Gapoha, we've put people there. Tema Oil Refinery, we've put people there. Cocoa Board, we have put people there. A lot of institutions, including private institutions, that we have been able to do placements. The job center also undertakes capacity building. We're able to partner with a private ICT firm to train people in ICT and all that. So much is being done when it comes to the job. But like I said, the demand is higher than the supply. So as much as possible, we are doing our best. And I want to take the opportunity to assure the good people of Tema who CV we have received for some time now that they should not give up. We are working hard at it. We are hoping that as we get along, more opportunities will come. Some people have gotten the opportunity already and they are even working. And gradually, we are hoping that we'll be able to absorb more people to get job opportunities for them to work.
In your constituency, there was floods. In Klagon, for instance, my colleague George Queenan was there. The assembly has come up for a lot of flack that they've allowed persons to build in waterways. They've allowed persons to build without check, and they've allowed persons to build without permit, and in some instances granting them permits as well to build. The floods came and we all saw the devastating nature. You've been to the place, I'm sure you've visited a number of the places where the floods affected them. What is the course of action being taken that this does not repeat itself? Buildings, we're told, have to go. Are you working with the assembly to remove these buildings on waterways? What is a constructive plan to deal with the situation in your constituency?
Yeah, thank you once again. Of course, the recent flooding that consumed Ghana hit Tema West very, very hard. I think Tema West was flagged as one of the most hit areas.
Worst hit, actually.
Yeah, worst hit areas in the country. Because, for one, if you come to Community 5, Railway Ward suffered a lot of flooding. If you come to Jatabu also equally suffered so much flooding. Sakumono, both Sakmono village and the Sakmono estates all suffered flooding, especially those who live along the Ramsar stretch. Klagon was seriously hit. Codjoe was also hit. Bachona and Lashibi all suffered serious flooding challenges. And my brother, it will interest you to know that this flooding situation has been occasioned by the activity of our own people. And like you rightly said, sometimes it has to do with building even without permits. And you appreciate that since we assumed office, we have been in power for, let's say, 1.5 years now. You'll be surprised that there are building permits that have been issued in the recent past before we took office, or at places that they were not supposed to be issued. Apart from that, there are a lot of areas that people do not have permit, but they are building. I think the record shows that a lot of properties, especially within the Greater Accra region, have no building permits. So these are some of the things that have occasioned. Of course, our own human activity also in terms of indiscriminate disposal of refuse has also occasioned this flooding situation that we have. If you come to a place like the Tema Main, people have built on sewer lines, people have built on drains, people have built everywhere. And I think that it's important for us to crack the whip. The unfortunate thing is that sometimes when you want to crack the whip, it comes with challenges, because people will try to intervene from all courtesies to make sure that it doesn't happen. And that is the challenge that we have. Sometimes too, the challenge is that if you want to demolish, you have to go through due process. A lot of the time, sometimes institutions engage in demolition without following due process. Because if you want to cause demolition, either you need an order from the assembly or you need a court order to embark on a demolition exercise. But sometimes due process is not followed, notices are not given, and when these things happen, people are displaced, and at the end of the day, we, the leaders of the constituency, are the ones that stand to suffer. So one, I believe that the whip must be cracked in terms of those who have built on sewer lines, who have built on waterways, those who have put unauthorized structures that has occasioned all this flooding.
And this
but
is Lashibi,
doing so,
some parts of Lashibi when it rained.
Yes, so this is Lashibi heading towards Klagon. And I can say that as I speak to you now, this section of the road has been fixed. Like I said, when it rains, the Lashibi stretch is cut off from Klagon.
Yeah.
So the road is not even more trouble. But since the last time we have intervened, myself with the MC, we have fixed that stretch. So when it rains, indeed, this place will no longer be flooded. That exercise has been done. And I'm happy to say that a lot of institutions came on board to help us to fix this
Obviously, because of the military
engineers came, NADMO also came, and it was a huge support. And I'm happy to say that this problem, as I speak to you now, has been fixed.
There's a question and a concern which is coming from a constituent. It says that they want to know if you are doing anything about the linking road from Klagon to Community 12, and that there is a new development going on that stretch, which is a wetland. Are you aware, and what is being done about it? That they are suggesting it's a wetland being developed, and that could have potential to result in floods as well, if nothing is done about it.
Okay, thank you very much. I have an idea the area he's talking about. You know, actually, Committee 12 is not within Tema West, but I think there is a connection bridge that connects Committee 12 to Klagon. And indeed, that bridge is a very strategic one because it gives easy access if you even want to join the motorway and all that. I know when you cross the bridge, there's a wetland around that area. Hey. But I've not.
They are developing the area. That's at least what Kwabna from Codjoe is telling us.
Okay.
This morning.
Frank, I've not used that stretch in a while because I don't usually go
through. I mean, that's fair.
Because so once my attention has been drawn, I want to assure him that I'll take steps and notify to go and see myself and notify the appropriate authorities. I'll have to bring the assembly on board if that is actually the situation. Because this is it. And one of the major problems that we have encountered, which has occasioned this flooding, is also the development of Ramsar sites. You know, Tema, by the grace of God,
you have a lot of these wetlands.
Exactly.
And people
by the grace of God has granted us the wetlands to be able to serve as a reservoir. You know, Tema is a bit on the low side. So when it rains, all the water from the eastern region, Ebri and all that, they come to Tema. And God, in his wisdom, provided us with this Ramsar site to be able to serve as a reservoir to accommodate all this water so that it doesn't flood our communities. But unfortunately, there's been a lot of illegal developments in the Ramsar site, which has reduced the capacity of the Ramsar.
I mean, you've been there for just 18 months,
right?
And so, really, directly when fingers are being pointed, they cannot be pointed at you. But the concern is, one of such has been brought to our attention. What is happening to the others, persons who are seeking to develop these wetlands, which are supposed to serve as reservoirs and help prevent the flooding in the areas?
Okay, so I think it's a matter that we must take seriously. Indeed, any time that I have come across any such development, I trigger the necessary processes through the assembly, because indeed the Ramsar site is supposed to be under the forestry, and therefore even the assembly does not have the authority to grant permit for any development within the Ramsar site. So even when you obtain a building permit from the assembly within a Ramsar site, that building permit is null and void, because the assembly, first of all, does not have the capacity to give you a permit within a Ramsar site, which falls directly under the supervision of the Forestry Commission. And there are a number of occasions that we have identified some of these developments, and we have drawn the attention of the Forestry Commission and even the Assembly to also use their task force to crack down on these people. So I also urge the community members that anytime, you know, they see such developments like the one who just put the information across, they should inform us, and we'll take the appropriate steps to ensure that we crack down on these illegal developments within the Ramsar sites.
Right. James Enu is my guest in studio. He's a member of Parliament for Tema West. He's a vice chair of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament. He is the board chair of the Gaming Commission as well. Also sits on the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament. You've done a lot of work since you returned to the 9th, or since you entered the 9th Parliament, because you're a first-timer, and serving as the vice of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, a number of legislation has come before you for consideration. Key amongst them is the Public Tribunals Bill, which you passed last week, Thursday. Because of how late it was, you couldn't join us on Friday, which was originally scheduled. Your colleagues on the other side, they've criticized you greatly for the manner in which you went around it, and for the fact that you're bringing something which has been put to bed for a very long time back into the justice delivery system. What were the considerations you made on the committee, amongst others, into returning a report to the plenary and seeing a vote passed to have this approved by Parliament?
Thank you. I think this is a very sensitive matter, and I'm happy that you have raised it. Indeed, I didn't know it's going to be part of our conversation, but it is good that you have raised it. You know, per our procedure, a bill has to go through first reading. After first reading, it will be referred to the appropriate committee.
Absolutely.
In this case, in this particular case, regarding the tribunal bill, it was referred to the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee. When it's referred to the committee in charge, we do our deliberations, we sit on it, do our deliberations, we do our public engagement with key stakeholders as far as the bill is concerned. After that exercise, we produce a report to the House. Now, when the report is presented to the House will debate on it, and a decision is taken on it, whether we are adopting the report or we are rejecting it. So from there, if the report is adopted, we move to second reading. From second reading, we go into consideration stage, where we take it clause by clause and analyze all the issues and all that. And then it will go through third reading, and it is passed. This is the process that has to go through. So you will appreciate that before a bill is passed, it goes through a number of stages. Yeah. And indeed, when it came to our committee, Constitutional and Legal Affairs, it's a committee that is made up of both the majority and the minority. So when it came to our committee, we considered the bill, looked at the nitty-gritties of it, engaged key stakeholders, engaged the public and all that before we produced our report. Now, when we produce a report, the report is debated, like I said, in the main house. The minority participated at the committee level. Their members were there. They participated in the main house debates. They were there. They were given the opportunity. They raised their arguments, whatever. The report was adopted. Now, and then we went through. In consideration stage, they decided to boycott. But of course, parliamentary work must still proceed. They went on.
In the consideration, they raised a number of concerns. There was a lot of mention as to clause 4.
Yes.
What was the clause 4 about? And what was the gripe that resulted in one of the decisions for them walking out?
Good, thank you. So clause 4 is the gravamen of the bill. Clause 4 is like the foundation of the bill. And they were saying that we should delete clause 4. But if you delete the clause 4, it means that the bill would have collapsed. And this is the reason. Clause 4 contains provisions in terms of where the tribunal bill is taking its authority from. And if you look at our law, it is very clear. We are running a constitutional dispensation. And therefore, if you look at the provisions of our constitution, which is supposed to be the fundamental law of the land, if you look at particularly Article 142 and Article 143, Article 142 creates the tribunal. 143 talks about the jurisdiction of the tribunal.
Right.
If you come to Article 126, Article 125 talks about the judiciary.
And then 126 mentions specifically the tribunals as being part of the superior courts.
Exactly. It looks like you have read enough. So if you look at all these provisions, the combined effect of these provisions are that we must have a tribunal system, because the law talks about a jury system, which we are running. It talks about assessor system, which we are running. Also talks about tribunal system, which was made redundant. So indeed, there is a lacuna in our law, and we all know that the Constitution is the fundamental law of the land. It's a law that we have all agreed that we are going to work with. So long as these provisions remain in our Constitution, if we fail to execute it, what it means is that we are undermining our own Constitution, or we are disrespecting the provisions of our own Constitution. And that is very wrong, you understand? So these are constitutional provisions, mandatory constitutional provisions, constitutional bona fides that we don't have a choice about, that we must go ahead to make sure that we enact such laws so that the tribunals can work. And let me take you a step further. We have said that the tribunal system is very, very necessary, because the tribunal system provides a number of things that the regular courts do not provide. Number one major thing has to do with the participation of the citizenry when it comes to the tribunal trials. You know, the tribunal sits with the chairman and two other panel. Now, these two other panel are supposed to be ordinary people in the society who will work together with a chairman who is supposed to be a lawyer with the same qualification as a high court judge. So these two people together with the chairman who is a lawyer sit on the trial and adjudicate cases. So we are seeing citizenship participation in the adjudication process, which is key, because one of the things that we have suffered as a country has to do with the fact that a lot of Ghanaians do not have confidence in the court system. They don't have trust in the court system. That is a matter of fact. So getting to citizens to participate in the process, build confidence, build trust for the adjudication processes. And I think that is one thing that the regular courts cannot offer us. Apart from that, if you look at the bill gives us the opportunity to do day-by-day trial. My brother, we know that one of our major problems with our court system is the delays, the long cases. Sometimes cases take as long as 10 years, 15 years. Long cases, some of them 12 years and all that. The adjudication process is quite slow. There's so much delay in our system. As a result of this delay, there is huge backlog. Indeed, the record shows that every year the courts accumulate a backlog of 3,360 cases every year. 3,360 cases keep adding up every year because the courts are not able to absorb or try some of these cases. And the judges are overwhelmed. Because the judges are overwhelmed with cases, what they do is that every case, maybe they will allocate 30 or 45 minutes per case because the cases are a lot. If the chunk is reduced, they can award 2 hours for every hearing, and that will expedite the process. So the strategy is that these tribunals, they are going to try only criminal cases. And the law says that it's in respect of cases against the state and cases against public interest. So it's a specific, it's a specialized court, you understand? Specialized court with a specific mandate.
But specialized courts, the criticism is that specialized courts should be the preserve of the CJ. We've seen specialized courts that's come to life. If it's about day-to-day hearings, this Wontumi trial, for instance, which has become the subject of conversation today, was prosecuted in 9 months. And this is the same justice delivery system. So why not resource the structures as it exists so that effective work can be done? Appoint more judges and add them to the high court judges which exist, because a person who is appointed as a chair of a tribunal qualifies to be a high court judge anyways. So appoint them, help expand the system a bit more, provide them with resources, and your problems will be solved.
Okay, so I did indicate that there is something that the tribunals offer that the regular courts cannot offer because the tribunals doesn't sit with only a single judge. You understand? So we are trying to encourage citizenship participation to build confidence in the judiciary system. This is what the regular courts or the traditional court cannot offer. So this is a special dispensation that these tribunals are bringing on board. You understand? And as we rightly know, the Constitution is very clear. Like I said, first of all, there is a constitutional mandate for us to do this. Secondly, the strategy is to make sure that we cut off this huge backlog on the court system. How do we do this? Once we are able to establish these tribunals, that will be taking care of criminal cases. What is going to happen is that a lot of the workload on the regular courts will be lifted, because once the tribunals are taking care of criminal cases, those criminal cases which otherwise could have gone to the regular courts will now be taken over by the tribunal.
So you are taking criminal cases where a lot of the oral possible cases will be going. So you set up the tribunal to handle oral cases, because if criminal cases are going there, the opposition is right to say you're seeking to return that to prosecute them.
No, but that is the constitutional mandate. The tribunals cannot try civil cases. They must only try criminal cases per the law. You understand? So I think that there is a certain stigmatization that has been associated with tribunals, but I think we need to situate this conversation in a context. We are all aware of the tribunal system during the PNDC time. This was a military regime. It was not a constitutional regime. There has been arguments that there were excesses and all that, human rights abuse, whatever, blah, blah, blah. People will also challenge this, that we needed that at a critical time because of the levels of corruption. You know, I once said that, you know, Jesus Christ, when he entered the temple and the people were gambling in the temple, what did he do? He had to pull a whip and start whipping the people in the church. But it was necessary at the time because of what was going on. So in the same way, people may argue that because of the situation at the time, these tribunals were necessary at the time. But that is a different dispensation that is gone. Now, these tribunals are being established within the context, within the framework of a constitutional regime. And if you look at our constitution is very clear. Article 14 talks about fair trial, Article 19 and all that. These are all the framework within which the tribunals are going to work. So there is no fear of anybody being victimized or any kangaroo courts that will begin to, work. Indeed, if you look at the bill, if you go through the bill, you appreciate...
I'm looking at portions of it, actually.
Exactly. You appreciate that adequate provisions have been made to make sure that human rights abuses and all that are safeguarded. One of the innovative things that came with this bill is the establishment of the oversight committee, the Tribunal Oversight Committee. So the Tribunal Oversight Committee will ensure that the tribunals work in accordance with the Constitution, they work within the confines and the framework of the Constitution. You understand? And this will be a safeguard that will supervise the activities of the tribunal and ensure when it comes to the paneling of the panel, is the Chief Justice that will be responsible for all that.
Fair. On establishment of an oversight committee, for instance, that has also come up for a bit of scrutiny. They are asking questions, why an oversight committee?
Yeah, because, you see, concerns have been raised. We are aware of those concerns. We want to be sure that the tribunals work within the confines of the Constitution and work within the confines of the law. We need a committee that will ensure, will supervise directly. And this committee, if you look at the constitution of this committee, there is a rep from the Chief Justice, Attorney General, Shraj, you know, so you can see the level of people that constitute this
National
committee.
House of Chiefs.
Exactly. The level of people that constitute this committee, and their direct mandate to ensure that they monitor, supervise the activities of these tribunals and ensure that they work within the confines of the law. I think it's very, very necessary.
The other legislations which you've passed, right? The anti-LGBTQ plus bill, for instance, you passed that. That's been something that's been brought in a lot of controversy as well. You passed that. On that same bill as well, the minority washed their hands off it, and it looks like the claim is that, look, you are passing a lot of bills, I don't want to use the word sidestepping, or under a certain certificate of urgency or under some urgency when it needs to be done, and you're not building consensus as a majority in Parliament.
I think that that suggestion is unfounded. Is very much unfounded. So the LGBTQ, we went through the same processes. Indeed, at the committee stage, we did a lot of engagement. Shraj was there, civil society organizations, churches, traditional authorities. I remember very, very well. I was in that meeting at Aliza Hotel. A lot of key stakeholders were there. A lot of suggestions were brought in there, here and there. And, you know, initially when they brought the bill, and let me go back a step. Before the bill that was introduced in the night parliament, the LGBTQ bill that was introduced, is drastically quite different from the one that
the argument is that it's the same. The argument rather is that this has been beaten down. This bill which was passed was beaten down considerably
let me explain
to make it easy for the president to assent to, and even with that, he's not assented to it yet.
Okay, so let me explain it to you. And the reason why the president has not assented, let me clarify that before. The reason the president has not assented is because the bill has not been transmitted to him.
Why the delay in transmission?
Of course, once the bill is passed, it had to be fine-tuned, make sure that they do all the necessary, put the necessary structures in place and all that before it is forwarded to the president. So, as we speak to now, there is no bill before the president.
Means Parliament is delaying because this was passed late May.
Yeah, so I definitely will be with the administration of Parliament in terms of taking the necessary steps to transmit it, which has not yet been done. Yeah. Even last week, I was trying to follow up on it to find out the situation, and they told me that they are still working on it. And so LGBTQ, you know that this bill was introduced in the last Parliament. It was passed, and then there was want of presidential assent, as a result of which that bill lapsed and therefore had to be reintroduced when we assumed office. Now, what I'm saying is that the bill that was passed, when it was reintroduced, was very different by the sponsors. There were some changes, you understand? So this even tells us that with time, new ideas comes on board, which can also inform some changes. And that is the reason why laws, even when passed today, tomorrow they can be amended. Because sometimes, after the passage of the law, new development comes up, which makes us to believe that, no, these amendments are necessary. So the bill that came before us was not the same as the one that was passed by the sponsors. So this is a bill that was presented by the same sponsors, but there were a bit of some changes. Now, when the bill came to us, even though it has gone through the 8th Parliament, we had to start our work on a fresh note.
Afresh?
Yes, as if nothing has happened. And like I said, we went through first reading, came to our committee, we engaged all the key stakeholders, and then we prepared our report, which was adopted. We moved to consideration stage, they boycotted. And the reason why they walked out was that they are saying that certain things have been removed from the bill as a result of which it does not make it very potent. But my brother, if you are a lawyer and look at the bill, I don't think you will make that argument. Because you see, the changes that we made were changes that were mandated by our constitution and changes that were also necessary in view of other laws that we had passed. You understand? One, we had to exempt people like you, those of you in the media, because you see, if you look at the law criminalizes anything that seems to promote, support these activities. You understand? Anything that seems to promote or support these activities. So if you are even a media person and you are doing a reportage and you are not careful, you could be brought under the act and then you could be prosecuted for your normal, regular work that you are doing as a media person. So it was necessary for us to exempt certain categories of professionals. For instance, a lawyer who is going to court or to defend an LGBTQ. Obviously, the lawyer is supporting such a person. So the law must make exemptions for lawyers, make exemption if an LGBTQ person has suffered, let's say, a gunshot, or is ill or is sick and he goes to the hospital. If the doctor is treating such a person, it could be evaluated or counted as if he's supporting such a person, you understand? And that means that he's also supporting LGBTQ. That is the position. So we needed to make exemptions because under our laws, even if you are an armed robber and you get a gunshot and you go to a hospital, the first priority of the doctor is to save your life. The doctor cannot say that you are an armed robber, so he will leave you to die. It's the same thing. If you are an LGBTQ person and you go to hospital, you must receive treatment.
Right.
And that treatment must not be calculated as the doctor supporting or helping you, you understand, or promoting you. And therefore, those exemptions were the things that we made. And these exemptions are constitutional. The right to a lawyer is in our constitution, you understand? The media is in our constitution. So these are constitutional provisions that we only entrenched in the bill. There was nothing new that we removed. If you come to the evidence decree or the evidence act, provisions in it also gives privileges to a lawyer, privileged information, privileged communication.
Right.
So for instance, if you're a lawyer, somebody can come and confide in you
Absolutely.
that I'm an LGBTQ. Are you supposed to go and report the person? Because the law also mandates anytime you get that information, you must report.
Attorney-clients privileges and all of that becomes subject matter.
Exactly. So these are the exemptions that we made. And that is backed by the Constitution and other laws that we have passed already. So for them to say that we have taken the bite out of it and all that, it's not the same, my brother. It is not.
But they say generally, you are not building consensus on the floor of the House, and it doesn't look good in the eyes of the public when consistently you are railroading your way through because you have a supermajority and you're using it.
That is not correct at all. Behind the scenes, we build a lot of consensus. Sometimes, my brother, what you see on the TVs and the cameras is not the reality. I'm telling you the truth. We build a lot of consensus behind the scenes.
Consensus when you are presenting the reports? Is there a general acceptance when you're presenting the reports?
Yes, because you see, when it comes to the committee reports, we always take one position. We build consensus. If there are some people who have divergent opinion, we capture it in the report as well. But we always go with the one front. This is the decision. But when it becomes critical, we have to vote. And the majority will always carry the day. But we build a lot of consensus, my brother. Behind the scenes, we build consensus that the cameras might not be privy to. So if the minority says that we are not building consensus, I would not agree with them at all.
A number of bills are up for consideration. I'm sure may have been referred to the committee already. The Okada bill, for instance, has that come before you? That's another subject area of quite some controversy, navigating.
Yeah, that bill has already been passed.
It's been passed as well already, and some work has been done. I
think that they are trying to put in place the necessary structures so that it can take up. Sometimes when the bill is passed, it cannot immediately take effect because some structures need to be put in place before. But that one, Okada bill has been passed. And one that is also pending that will come very soon will be the interstate succession bill.
Absolutely.
You know, we have been with this interstate
PNDC law 111.
Exactly. PNDC law 111 is over 4 decades, over 40 years old. And therefore, we have realized that it comes with a lot of challenges, especially when it comes to its implementation. We have implementation challenges because the Act creates some fragmentation or creates some divisions when it comes to the properties. And therefore, it makes implementation very, very difficult. And as a result of that, seeing the challenges that confront us in law, PNDC law 111 of 1985. You can imagine this is about over 40 years ago. Yeah, it has become necessary, looking at new developments and all that, to pass a new law to cure the defects that is associated with the PNDC law 111. You know, at the time that it came, it was very instrumental because it came to cure a situation where when a deceased person dies, you know, family goes to take over the property. Sometimes they eject the widow and the children and take over property. And that was when PNDC law 111 came to cure that problem. But having implemented it for the past 40 years, it has come up with a lot of challenges, and therefore we need a new bill. This new bill, some of the things it's going to cure is that we want to make sure that the fragmentations or division of properties is reduced. We want to make sure that the law is also not sensitive to gender, because you know the law did not take cognizance of the fact that in Ghana we have a traditional marriage system which is polygamous. Right. The law didn't take all that into consideration. So that is being taken into consideration in this new current bill. Yes.
So what it will allow for more than one wife to benefit from the succession.
So the current law is that if a man dies and he has 7 wives, he has 6 wives, he has 5 wives, all those 5 wives or 6 wives or 7 wives will be entitled to that same percentage that a 1 wife will be entitled to. You understand? So if, for instance, somebody dies and leaves 5 wives, all those 5 wives will be entitled to a certain percentage. If even it's only 1 wife, it's the same percentage. If it's 2, the same percentage. If it's 10 wives, the same percentage. So it's very gender insensitive. So we are looking at a situation where
promoting polygamy.
So we are looking at a situation where if they have 5 wives, more percentages will be allotted and make it more sensitive to gender. Because then the disadvantage is that because women cannot marry more than 1 husband, when it comes to the husband, they will definitely get their percentage as single, as 1 person. But on the other side, when it comes to women, they have to share. So the law is trying to look at all this and take the polygamous nature of our society into consideration.
Absolutely. James Inu is my guest in studio. We're going to be wrapping up pretty shortly. I'm going to pick your thoughts on this Wound to Me saga, what you've made of it, because your colleagues in Parliament have been describing it with all sorts. You in government, what is your position in relation to it as well? And perhaps I'll take you one step back on the NPP flag bearer also asking the president to stay his hand and not ascend to the national to the tribunals. So answer that for me first, and then I'll pick your thoughts on Wound to Me. Then there's an interesting local story in your constituency which you've been championing, which I will ask you about as we wrap up on this morning's show.
Okay, so thank you. I think that when it comes to the traditional bill, the tribunal bill, it has gone through all the necessary stages. We have done all the necessary consultations. We have engaged stakeholders. We have engaged all interested parties. A lot of work was done at the committee level. When we came before the House, A lot of arguments were made to justify the provisions clause by clause. So much consultations have been done already, and I think that once it is transmitted to the president, he should just go ahead and assent it. I don't think that we need to wait to do any further consultation. All necessary consultations have been done when it comes to the Tribunals Bill 2025.
The NPP says tomorrow is pregnant. You've persecuted one of their own. I use persecuted advisedly, and so tomorrow is pregnant. They will come after all of you in the NDC as well. How do you react to comments like this and their reaction as well to the conviction of the Ashanti Regional Chairman, Bernard Ntwibwe?
Okay, this, I am not expecting anything different. This is one of their own. So definitely you will expect that this is how they are going to go. Indeed, I have not followed the nitty-gritties of the process, and I'm not also privy to the judgment. Yesterday also, was it yesterday? Is Monday? Yeah, yesterday when I was about moving from, we went for a retreat. We were about moving from home, and I got the information that judgment has been passed and he has been convicted. But I'm yet to get hold of the judgment and look at it.
59
but
pages.
Of course, it was trite knowledge. Everybody in Ghana knows that Untimi was engaged in mining activities. But as to whether it was legal or illegal, that is what we didn't know. But everybody knew that is his line of business. And for me, due process has been followed. He was charged, put before court. His lawyers were there. They went through the processes. He had appeal processes in terms of some interlocutory applications that he brought along the line. And at the end of the day, we went through full trial. Judgment has been passed. He has been convicted. I think that the most important thing is that due process has been followed. There was no point in time that his rights were undermined. There were no points in time that human rights abuses transpired anywhere as far as the trial is concerned. He has been taken through a fair trial and judgment has been passed. And for me, I think that is why there is a hierarchy of courts and the opportunities for them to appeal. If they feel that they have a good case on appeal and that the evidence does not match the decision of the court, they can always go up and see what will happen there. So I think that there is no basis for all these complaints. If you believe that you have a good case, that is why the appeal processes are there. Go to the Court of Appeal. From there, you can still go to the Supreme Court if you are not satisfied. So they must advise themselves and exhaust the appeal processes that are available to them. But this is a decision, a judgment that is coming from a competent court of jurisdiction that has fully heard the case and given a judgment.
Right. In wrapping up, we're 11 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm going to take you back to the constituency and the party, to be specific. The Tema West NDC constituency women's organizer, Paulina Lamisi, had been missing since June 12, 2025. I mean, in my small research, I saw that you were leading the campaign to have her return amongst any other things. Has there been an update? How is the party faring in the aftermath of that there?
Thank you so much. This is a very, very sensitive matter to me.
Yeah, very sensitive.
And I'm hardly hit by it anytime. I remember it, you know. Lamisi, our women organizer, very hard-working woman, right from the onset in this campaign leading to the 2024
election. Victory,
very instrumental, you know, organizing the women's front campaign here and there, house to house. She was with us from day one. Unfortunately, just before the elections, she's gone missing. For
and
all
up to now, there's no update.
It's getting to, I think, 2 years now.
It's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years already, yeah. So the last time we did a public engagement on it to put it out there, reminding the police. The matter is with the police who are conducting investigations. Well, I believe that it has been a bit slow and nothing is coming up from it. The news is that she just left home one morning. She lives with her husband. They are together. They stay in the same house. She left one morning, and since then we have not seen her anywhere. And we have tried, checked everywhere, but it doesn't seem like there is a headway. And the matter has been reported to the police. Police is conducting investigations, but we believe that the police are a bit slow on this matter. We think that they must put more vim into the investigations and come out with something, because she cannot be missing just like that.
2 years.
She cannot be missing just like that, you know. And I even feel that, you know, she has a daughter, a very young daughter who is at the secondary school, senior high level, and it's very, very pathetic situation. The family are always crying and hoping that one day she'll resurface somewhere. But as we speak now, there's no information whatsoever, and the police too have been silent on this matter for all this while. So I want to take the opportunity to speak to the Inspector General of Police, the IGP, to intervene in this matter and ensure that they expedite the investigative processes and tell us something, because for a long time we are not hearing anything, so that this matter can be brought to rest.
Right, Honorable, in wrapping up, what would you say the constituents of Tema West should hold you by 7th December 2028 when elections is up?
Okay, so
you're standing again.
My number one has to do with employment, because I know that the youth in my constituency needs a lot of employment opportunities, but I want to assure them that I'm committed to it. We have started doing a fantastic job in that area. A lot of people have received jobs. A lot more is outstanding. We want to assure them that by 2027, when we go back to them, or 2028, we would have a lot of statistics to show them in terms of the opportunities that we have given them when it comes to jobs. Apart from that, the roads is also one of my priorities, and I keep pushing, going to the urban roads, going to the Minister of Roads. I'm always pursuing them. If you go there, they will mention it to you that your MP is always here. And I'm going to push and push. By the grace of God, like I indicated, a number of roads have been done. A number of other roads too, we have contractors that have moved on site. There are some roads too that contractors will be moving on site soon after the rains. We'll still keep pushing to ensure that you know, we are able to get more development in the Tema West constituency. One major problem also has to do with the sewer lines, especially in the main Tema area, Committee 2, Committee 5, and all that. We have serious problems with the sewer lines, and this is a problem that has been there for decades, that nothing has been done about it. For the time being, what we've been trying to do is to do the dislodging and the rodding and trying to evacuate the main lines and all that. But these are temporary measures that will not bring a permanent solution. It's important for us to look for, this is a capital-intensive project, because it looks like Tema main, all the sewer lines have challenges. These are lines that were built by Nkrumah at the time, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah at the time, and population has increased. These lines have become old. They have not been changed, and therefore it is important for us to take drastic measures to make sure that we do a heavy rehabilitation and renovation of the sewer lines by changing the network in terms of the pipelines, so that the problem will be solved. But this is capital intensive, and we are pushing very hard. I got some experts who came to assess the situation, and we are still having a conversation to see how we can bring permanent solution to the sewage problem that we have in the Tema main area.
Honorable, I must say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you this morning, and I look forward again to another opportunity where we can sit. Like I mentioned, your committee is one of my favorites, because you are almost always considering every bill which comes, and so it's one of the committees that I like to follow keenly and speak to the individuals present as and when there's a chance. So I'll look forward to another conversation again, but I thank you very much for joining us in studio this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. It looks like my first time in about how many years? I've been here before, but it was a long time ago. It was a long time ago. So it's quite refreshing coming back, and I hope that this will continue.
Absolutely. We look forward to seeing you again and again and again. That's the Honorable James Zin, who is a Member of Parliament for